In this session, we will build a SaaS application with Boltnew. For the backend, we will use a template that will be easy to understand, explained, and is made from the documentation of the third parties to avoid burning all your tokens and help you shipping your ideas into production. What we will build today is a micro SaaS for prompts, something like a prompt manager, where a user will be able to save his prompts, and also there will be a prompt tab with the prompts added by an admin that the user can use. For the demo, now we are on the dashboard in our application. We don't have access, so we need to subscribe. There we have only one plan. We will click on subscribe. There we will fill test data for Stripe. We will pay the product. And we paid successfully. Our subscription is changed to active. Now we are welcomed and we can use the product itself. And there we can log in into the application with Clerk. And now it will be saved into a database. To have this working even with the backend, you have two options. First one is to try to prompt your way through and get somewhat working SaaS even with the auth, database connection and Stripe, or just don't reinvent the wheel. I don't want to burn all your tokens, and I don't think you need to prompt and get your backend set up with just prompting all your way through. If you just can take the backend, then learn it, understand it, just don't reinvent the wheel, as I mentioned. If you are a beginner, it's completely fine. You can use AI to explain you the parts of the code, and like this, get through the starter kit for your SaaS application that we will also go through together, based on how the third parties for the backend have it in their documentation. I chose this way for everyone who wants to build with a bit different approach that you can find on YouTube usually, because AI sometimes does its in own way, which can create errors for other parts of the code, and you will get into a rabbit hole where you are burning your tokens while getting nowhere. That's why I will go for the option 2, where I already reused the wheel that was invented, and I have there a backend for auth, payments and the database prepared, and we will be building on top of it. And of course, I will help you prepare it too for yourself. And if you will understand, with the help of AI or just after some time, some blocks of the code, it will definitely move you forward on your product building journey. If you want to create SaaS applications, you will be starting out with pretty much the same things. Setting up the backend, have a landing page that will convert visitors into our customers, and working product itself. So it's about building a landing page, authentication, the paywall, setting up the database, and then getting the product itself. Today, we will go through setting all of this and creation of a SaaS with this AI tool to help you building your own SaaS product and start your journey to easily ship your ideas into production. For auth, instead of Supabase, I will be using Clerk. That is basically the same free tier, so you are not losing anything. Both can handle like 10,000 users for free. And I already tried to use Supabase, but I just somehow like Clerk more. I even think it's more simpler, because in Supabase, for example, when you are logging in the user and you are saving his email, you then need to create some triggers and so on and so on. I don't want to get too deep into this. Basically, we will set up Clerk, an easy authentication. We will set up Supabase database, that is also easy. We will ask AI tool to work with Prisma, which you can imagine like a connector for the database. So in the future, if you will want to use something different than a Supabase, it's also super easy to do. And a Stripe that is just used for the payments almost everywhere now. And that will be it. I think we can jump right in, and let's start with the prompting Bolt.new. So how the first prompt will look like. We need to be very detailed about what we want to build. If you'll put there just like, hey, build me a prompt manager application, it will maybe come up with something, but the chance that it will suit our needs will be low. We will start with some introduction. Let's build a micro SaaS application using NextJs with the app router. The application already has auth, database and Stripe implemented. If interacting with the database for saving or retrieving data, use Prisma. Then send me the Prisma model and I will push it to the database myself. We also mention app name and purpose. I will put there prompt manager, a micro SaaS tool for users to store and manage their own prompts and access predefined read-only templates from a centralized database. Then I will go to application features and pages. I will start with a navbar, include a sleek modern navigation bar at the top of the page, logo positioned on the left, navigation links will be dashboard, pricing, and login or register. Also ensure the design is responsive and adapts seamlessly to mobile and desktop screens. Then for a landing page, design a modern, call to action oriented landing page with clean lines and vibrant colors. For the hero section, captivating headline, supporting text, and a prominent call to action button encouraging users to sign up or log in. Then we want to include a visually appealing image or illustration relevant to prompts and templates. We also want to add a feature section, so we will add there sections with brief descriptions highlighting the app's functionality, for example, save and manage your prompts, access predefined templates, and so on. For the footer, just include essential links like about, contact, and privacy policy. And now to the main functionality. For the dashboard page, create a user-friendly dashboard page with a sidebar for easy navigation, and the sidebar options will be My Prompts, where users will be allowed to create, edit, and delete or view their own prompts. Also for this, we will include that it should display prompts in a clean list or card layout with details like title, description, and date created. Then we will have a create prompt button, and there will also be a prompt template that will display a list of predefined prompts fetched from the database. These templates will be just read-only, as some admin will add them and the users will be able to just list through them. We will also ensure the dashboard layout is intuitive and emphasize ease of use. And then we will mention that for the database interactions, we will use Prisma. We can put there example of some model. And for the database logic, I will describe the model. So my prompts will store user-specific prompts with a user ID reference to allow filtering. Prompt templates will store predefined templates that can be fetched for display only. And some additional considerations for design. We want to use clean, modern typography with sufficient white space for readability, implement a professional color scheme, ensure accessibility standards, and for responsiveness, we want to optimize the application for fast load times and performance on all devices, and code quality, just follow the modern web development practices, such as modular architecture and reusable components. Also, you'll mention there to write clean, maintainable code that prioritizes ease of scaling. Now with this prompt, we can try to send it. If we put message like this, Boltnew usually ends somewhere in the middle and then asks us, hey, should I continue with the other instructions in your first prompt? So we'll wait a bit. It will install all the dependencies. We can then preview it and we will wait. Now you can see, would you like me to continue with any specific part? We need to create dashboard layout and pages, create, read, update, delete operation, template viewing interface, and of integration. So we already have of integration, which we will get to in a while. I will put there, yes, please continue with dashboard, layout, and pages, create operations, use Prisma. I will mention it again rather, and then a template viewing interface. For auth, I'm already using Clerk and I have it implemented. Now I will send this message and it will continue with implementation. Now it created a layout for the dashboard, sidebar, page, prompt list. So it's looking pretty good so far. We can check what it created in a first prompt. I can see there some homepage, start prompting. So this is not a landing page. Definitely we would like to have. So it wasn't successful in creating the landing page. For layout, it set the interfont defaultly. Okay, it set the dark mode also, which is nice. And yeah, we will need to double check why it didn't create any landing page. Now we will mention that it didn't actually do the creation, but I can see it just didn't get to next prompts there because it's still installing the dependencies. But it's fine, we won't be even running it there, we will just move it to our IDE. Now, if we will go through the structure, we can see it has there the page. For the layout, you can see that it implemented there the Clerk provider, which is great because that is something we will use for our authentication. And yeah, now the code looks definitely better. Footer, navbar, looks awesome. And anything else? App page we have, navbar, prisma.schema. And by the way, if installing of the dependencies takes forever, just reload the page and it should be fine. Now let's double check what we have there. Now we run into some errors, and what we will do is that we will copy this We will put it there and we will prompt it there. Comment this off and current user. Make it a dummy value. I will fix it by myself later. Let's prompt this one and see what it can do. If we try Boltnew to fix it, we will get into rabbit hole, we will burn all of our tokens and it just won't work. Let's send this message, let's see what he does and if he managed to at least make it a dummy value, and it worked. So now we are on our page, prompt manager. Now we will check our code. We can also see that we have a dashboard. What we will do is that we will type there dashboard, hit enter, and this will get us to the dashboard page. On dashboard, we have an issue with use user. And again, we will do please for user context when I'm trying to get on dashboard, make it also dummy value. I will implement the auth later by myself. Let's enter, let's see what Bolt comes up with. And now it will implement the dummy value. And there we can see how the dashboard looks like. We can go into my prompts that cannot load anything because we didn't connect the database yet, but that's fine because that is something that we can handle easily in our IDE. And if you want to check it, let's just say that please for database calls make also dummy data because I will implement the actual connection to Supabase later by myself. And now we have there our product. There we have overview, my prompt, where we can also create a prompt, then templates, where we can get the prompt templates, and that's about it. Now what we will prompt there is that navbar should also be on dashboard. I can't navigate from there as I get to dashboard. I can just see the product and that's it. Make the application more user-friendly, please. We will prompt this, wait for the Bolt response. You can see it's creating the navigation sidebar and so on, adding it to the layout. Now we have it there. So under our name, settings, profile or logout. Then if we'll go to the landing page, I think that's about it. Now we can take this application, put it into our IDE and finalize it. We will click there on export and download. Now to the starter kit that we will use with already invented wheel, which is auth, Stripe and the database connection. This is the template you can download from the Git I will put in the description. You will get these files and I think you are able to achieve similar output like I have there with AI if you will prompt correctly. But again, why to reuse it if you just can get it somewhere and tailor it to your needs. Let me go through all the folders so you understand everything. And then we will merge this with the files from Boltnew that we prompted there and download it. Let me start with the middleware.ts. This file needs to be in the root folder. So there we have a core SaaS template and I will have there the middleware.ts file. And this file will help protect our website by checking if users are logged in. We'll be using Clerk for authentication, so the implementation will look like this, and it will check all web pages except for the basic files like images and styles, which are listed there. Then we will continue. We have there env file, where we will store our environment variables with the passwords and secret strings that we will use for communication with Stripe, Clerk or Supabase. This env file we need to also input in this gitignore. And what is this gitignore? When we are pushing the project to Git, where we will store our code, or then when deploying to Vercel, we will just simply connect it. We need to be really careful to not push our environment variables, because otherwise anyone could read them and then he would have access to our database or Stripe. In this gitignore, we will include this .env file. Because what this gitignore does is that when you are pushing to GitHub, it ignores all the files that are listed there in this git ignore, and it won't push them. You can see the n files edit there, also it's in gray, so when we will be publishing this to GitHub, nothing will happen with this n files, it will just ignore it. Then we have there this public folder with images, and why to store images in a public folder. Assets in the public folder are served directly by the web server without being processed, which improves performance. So if we have a public images that we will be showing, for example, on the landing page, we should put them there. Let's continue to the next folder, and that is Prisma. And there in schema.prisma, we will have all the models of our objects. For example, for user, we will have ID, email, and name fields. For subscription, status, interval, and so on. And then, as we will be using more objects, we will be adding them there. And then I will show you how to push this model also to a Supabase where we will store all the data. Prisma is just a connector with the database. So in our code, when we will be saying something like prisma.create, it will be actually doing all the actions in a Supabase also, with just the change of the environment variables, database URL and direct URL. We will get to setting all the environment variables in a while. Now to a lib folder. Lib folder is short for a library. It's a common place in a project to store code that can be reused in different parts. Think of it like a toolbox where we keep useful tools that you might need for the different tasks. For example, for the db.ts, like a database.typescript, this file is like a helper for talking to a database. It uses something called Prisma client to make it easier to send and receive data from a database. Stripe.ts is a file that will help us manage payments using a service called Stripe, and it sets up the connection to Stripe using a secret key and provides the functions to create payment sessions and customer portals. This is useful for handling things like subscriptions. And then we have there utils.ts. This file is containing utility functions, which are small pieces of code that perform common tasks. And now it will get easier and easier. We have there components that we will be using in our application. You can see there a navigation bar or UI folder. Actually, nothing from this UI folder is coded by ourselves. It's just taken from the ShadCN library. Boltnew also takes this from a ShadCN library, so these are some pre-made components that we can just get easily with a few commands, or when we will list through a ShadCN library, we can find under the components that we would like to use and add them there. We will store the components that will be used across our whole application. Components can be also found in different folders. For example, there in dashboard, you can see I have there underscore components, and there will be components only related to dashboard. Now jumping into the app folder, there is where the magic happens. We will store there the landing page, dashboard page, payments, pricings, APIs, and authentication. Page.tsx is a place where we will have the landing page. Layout.tsx is a place where we will be wrapping our whole application into providers. So for example, Clerk provider, which is our authentication. So our application will be aware if the user is logged in or signed out, for example. Also, we are setting there the fonts and so on. In globals.css, we will be setting the colors for light mode and dark mode. And if we will continue to another folders, we can see there pricing, and in pricing, we have page.tsx. Every time there's a new folder in the app, it means it's a path for /pricing, for example. So to pricing page, we will get like /pricing, to payment and cancelled through /payment/cancelled, to dashboard, and we will be on this page with the product itself. And if you want to get to profile, for example, on our dashboard, we will need to do /dashboard/profile. The pricing page is again something that we will use for the Stripe, because their user will be able to buy a new subscription or to just manage his ongoing subscription. Then payment cancelled and success, it's again just something for a Stripe. So these are the pages after he successfully or unsuccessfully tries to buy the product. And now the dashboard folder, where we will have the product itself. So when user will be redirected after a successful login to /dashboard, he will find there the product itself. There we will have the components folder where we can put components used for the product itself. there is also a profile folder where a page can be created for user to set his profile. And now, if we'll move, we have their API folder and auth folder. Now in the API webhooks folder, we have Clerk and Stripe. What are webhooks? Webhooks are like messengers that deliver the important news from one app to another. Imagine we have two applications, app A and B, and when something important happens in app A, it can send a message or webhook to app B to let it know about the event. This way, the app B can take some actions based on the news it received. Now in the folder, we have there a Clerk and a Stripe. For Stripe, the purpose is simple. This file listens for messages from Stripe, and when a payment or a subscription happens, Stripe will send a message to this file. This code will then check what kind of event it is, and then updates our database with the new information. So when the payment is successful, it will update the user subscription status. For the Clerk webhook, we need this of one simple reason. When a user logs in, we need to make a call to our database that user was logged in with a Clerk, and we need to hand over the information about the user so we can save at least the user's email into our database. The setting for Clerk is very simple, and it's also documented in Clerk official documentation as well as the Stripe there, but that is of course on the Stripe documentation. And the only thing a little bit complex about this is the testing itself. As we are developing locally, our server is accessible only on localhost 3000, which is not visible to the Clerk or Stripe. As we want to test the connection to the external services, they cannot reach our local server to send the webhook events. For Clerk, we will have ngrok. This will solve our issue by creating a secure tunnel from the internet to our local machine, providing a public URL that then can be used by external services to send requests to our local server. With this, we will test the Clerk webhook. For Stripe, it will be similar. We will also set up there a connection, and we will then test webhooks there. Setting ngrok or the connection with Stripe, we will go through it. We will test it as we should test it, and we will make sure our application is working before going live. Now I will move to the folder above, and that is auth. And maybe you are wondering why it's auth in the parentheses, and it's because when it's in parentheses, it just groups up the folders below. So sign in, sign up. We wanted to group it into the auth, and this won't be accessible via /auth as it's in parentheses. NextJs will ignore this. There in sign in, we will have the page for signing in sign up for signing up. This is something that you will download from the Clerk documentation, so AI didn't code this. These things are something that you can just download, so you don't even need to make AI code this for you. And that will be it for the whole starter kit. So this is taken from documentation. This is taken from documentation with a bit of updates to tailor our needs. This dashboard is coded with AI. Then the payment, basically also from the documentation. Pricing, there is some template we can just reuse for easy payments with Stripe. Then the layout and page, again, something that will be provided, and the components folder where these are from ShedCN, lib folder. This can be found in documentation. This basically also utils.ts gets created, then Prisma. Basically, this is the structure for a SaaS project we will create according to the documentation of the third parties like Supabase, Stripe or Clerk, and why to spend insane amount of tokens when we can just reuse it and then merge the files there. And now it's time to open the Bolt.new version of our SaaS product on the right, and on our left we have the template with already created backend. What we will do is that we will go file by file, so we will open their app. We will take prompts and templates from API. We will put it there. Then for dashboard, prompts and templates, copy paste it into dashboard folder. Then layout, we can copy paste like this. Put it in the dashboard folder. For page, we will also copy paste it. Then we will move to globals. This we can copy paste into our globals. then the layout from there, and the page to page in app folder. Put it there. More thing, we have there hooks. So we will copy paste the folder, put it into the root folder, lib folder, utils. We already have this file, so we don't need to copy paste it. Schema we need to generate. Now we will also copy paste the components. So to not lose this file, I will just rename it navbar template. I can delete this UI, and then we can just take everything from the components, put it there. So I will now have all the components, and now we have all the files, and we will just make it work. What we will now do is that we will go into package.json, and we will copy the whole file and put it into Bolt.new. After we will put it there, we will say, please merge this package.json with your package.json. We will hit enter. Boltnew will regenerate the package.json. Then from there, after he will be finished, we will take the whole file, we will copy it, and we will put it back to our. There we will save it. Then we will delete package log.json. And now I can delete node modules. And in our terminal, I will open a new one, or I will cancel the current localhost, and I will do npm install. This will install all the new dependencies we need to have for our project to work. If you will just copy paste the ones that Boltnew provided you at the beginning, you will miss some libraries for the starter kit that were already installed. That's why we need to do this merge. And why I kept there this navbar template is because we will be using this signed out sign in buttons for Clerk. So we will put it there. We can put it even on the top, doesn't matter. Then we will style it. Now, if we will just delete the last letter and enter, it will import the library of Clerk, and we will be able to use these tags that we will be using for signing in and signing out. Now we can delete this old navbar and just use this one. Now we need to go into layout and wrap this into Clerk provider. Make sure it's imported. We will put the HTML tags inside. Like this. Save it. Now it should be fine, and it will consider if the user is logged in via Clerk or not. Now we need to update the schema.prisma. So we have there already existing models for user and subscription that is fully working. What we will do is that we will copy this and we will go to Bolt.new. There we will paste it and we will make a prompt. Please include needed models updates into my current prisma.schema I'm sending. We will send it, wait for the response and take it. Now we can just copy this and paste it into our code. And now we can go to setting the environment variables so we can continue with testing the code and finding the issues, potentially fixing it with AI. Now, if we go into .env file, we need to get all of these environment variables. We'll get it one by one from Clerk, from Supabase. There is a Prisma commented, but we will get these two strings from Supabase, then Stripe, and then we will just put there a next public URL, because it will be checking the public URL later. On the production, this next public URL will be changed to, for example, yourpagename.com. But currently our page is on localhost 3000. So let's start with getting all of these environment variables and setting all of these third parties one by one right now. Now we will integrate user management with Clerk, and you will sign in, then go to this dashboard. There in our applications, we will click on create application. For application name, I will select SaaS tutorial. And next to email, I will have there also login with Google. I will click on create application. And now I have there a guide how to do this with NextJs. We have there environment variables. Let's click on copy. And now we will paste it there. Then we can also see the example of the implementation for this sign in, sign out, but we will from this take only the Clerk provider and put it into our root layout, and these buttons we will put the navigation bar. If you wanna continue with the guide, you will click there on continue to Next.js guide, and there is the documentation of the things. So we will go to Supabase, and there we will sign up or log in if you already have an account, or also you can basically use continue with GitHub. There you will click on create a new project. We will choose organization. There we will select project name. There we will generate a password and we will click on copy. Save this password somewhere, we will use it in a while. Select there your region and then we will click on create new project. Now in Supabase, in project settings, and there in database, we can get this connection string. We will click on copy, and we will go to our environment variables, and we will paste it there. Now there, into your password, you will paste your password that you got from Supabase. That will look like this, but of course this is your password. And then take this whole string and put it into this database URL. Now we will go on documentation called Supabase with Prisma, and there we can also see some next steps we need to do to connect this with Prisma. There you will find these two strings. The first one will be for the database URL. Basically it's the same we have. The only thing added there is after database name is this question mark with PG bouncer. Let's take it and paste it there. For the database URL, then your string will look like before, but with added question mark and PG bouncer. And there we will create a new environment variable that will be called direct URL. Take this string, put it there. Now we will delete this up to this database name, which is Postgres, and we will change this port to 5432. Now we will save it. Now I will just put there the real password from the Supabase. If you forgot it, I will show you how you can get it. There in database, you will click on reset the database password, generate password, reset it before just copy it if you want a new one, and then you will put it there onto this place. Now what we will do is that we will put there in the terminal npx prisma migrate dev. We will hit enter. There we will put some name for the migration and wait for a bit. We can also do this with npx prisma db push. npx prisma db push is when you want to quickly push some changes to your database. It doesn't track them. And npx prisma migrate dev will track the changes. When we will add there some fields or some model, we will have it tracked down. You can also see it there in Prisma migrations. There it is. And there in table editor, you can now see subscription table, user, and you can see there all the fields. We'll open documentation of Clerk and we will go there to synchronize Clerk data to your application with webhooks. First step is to set up ngrok. This will help us expose our local server to the internet. What we need to do is just download ngrok, and after you download it, you will open the ngrok.exe file, which will open a terminal for you. And before downloading it, you need to log in on this ngrok.com, create an account there, and
Yeah, then you will download it and open the ngrok.exe file, which looks like this. And in this terminal we will paste this, but it won't be 80, it will be 3000, as this is our localhost. Now we can see it's forwarding it like this. If we will go into our ngrok and hit their tunnels, we can see it displayed there. For the next step, we already have these environment variables. Only thing we will take is this webhook secret. Let's copy it and put it into our env file. There in environment variables, I will put it like this and save it. In step 2, you can see that we need to update this Clerk dashboard with our endpoint we got from ngrok. There, we will, in our Clerk, we will go there into webhooks. There we will click on add endpoint, and there what we will do, we will paste this URL from the ngrok. We will paste it there, and after we will do API webhooks Clerk. And this is the endpoint URL we should use there. And what we want to subscribe to is a user creation. We can put there user.create, and also we can leave there selected, updated, deleted, and so on. Let's click on create, click on assigning secret, and copy it from there. And we will put it on this place to our webhook secret.
Now we will set up a Stripe. First you will log in or sign up to Stripe, and then in Stripe you will create a new product, and there in the new product we will go into developers. There we will go into API keys, and there we will take the publishable key. Then we will go to our IDE, paste it there, and we will go back for the secret key. We will click on reveal and then click again, so we will get it to clipboard. And we will paste it into our .env file, so into our environment variables. I have there the publishable key and the secret key. I will put a name for these environment variables. As this will be a public one, I will put there next public and then Stripe publishable key. And for the secret one, I will put Stripe secret key. Then we will go back to Stripe page. There we will go to product catalog. And you can see I already have there 2 products, but I will create a new one with you. So let's click there on add product.
I will put there a name of SaaS product. I will set there a price, recurring, and $19.99 US. It won't be monthly. I will set it as yearly, and there I will click on add product. Now I will click on it. That will get me there. From there, if you will click, you can copy price ID, and then you can save this in your environment variables.
You can see it like this. I put it there. And last environment variable we will need from Stripe is the Stripe webhook secret. So let's prepare it there. This is not the secret you should put in. For the secret, you will get this actually generated from the terminal. So what we need to do now, we will go there on webhooks. We will click on test in local environment, and there we will get a guide what we need to do in order to set up the Stripe for webhooks. So first we will need to download the client. There you will select your system. For me it's Windows. There I will download this zip file from GitHub. You will unzip it, then you will open the folder, then you will open an environment variables in your computer, and you will add a path to this .exe file there. You will open your terminal, you will write Stripe there, and you will get this information. That's how you will know you successfully installed the client. There we will go back to this page. Then we will put there this first command, Stripe login. We will copy the URL, open it there. There we will see the word. We will click on allow access and access granted. Now if we go back to that page, we will see there completed. Then we will copy this command and we will open there a new terminal.
Now we will paste this to forward events to our webhooks. what we need to do is that we will change it to our localhost. Also, we will put there API, webhooks, Stripe. We will hit enter. With this, we will get the Stripe webhook secret. We will paste it and put it there. Open our terminal, and there we will do Stripe trigger payment intent succeeded. There you can see we are getting to 200 status response.
And now, in case we still have some issues, for example, missing libraries, we will just do in terminal npm I and the missing library. In this case, React hook form and Zot. Then I also missed this one, so I will do npm install hook form resolvers. And that will also install these missing libraries. So now I will be without errors. I can also do npm install Redux in case I have some issues with the Shetzian components. And now everything should be alright. Now we will prompt Boltnew with removing the dummy values that we used before to make all of this work. And now we want to save prompts or templates into the database using Prisma. We can also mention that we already have Supabase configured, but maybe rather don't mention it, because then in next post I needed to clarify that I really want to use just Prisma. Now there, in case we will see some issues like this, it's because our Prisma is not in a library folder under Prisma name, but under DB name, and also because this import is missing /server. So we will fix it at these files, just 2 small fixes, and that should be it. Now let's try it. So I will try to create a new prompt and hit create prompt. And now we can see our prompt was successfully saved into a database. So it's working. And in case we want to add as admin some prompts and templates, we can just insert it right into the database. We will fill there some data. And as a user, now if I will check the prompt templates, I can find there the one that was added by admin. Now we will prompt Boltnew. Please use also data from database instead of dummy data on dashboard page.tsx. And also, please check that subscription status is active in order to show the product. If not, just put there a blurred background and on top of it message with subscribe. That will redirect to, and I did a typo there, it's not /dashboard/pricing, it's just /pricing. Now we will receive new dashboard page and user route. So we will put it into our application. Now we will prompt Boltnew again that he should get subscribe message only on /dashboard. And landing page, which is just a slash, should be publicly available. Now we can put these 2 pages into our IDE. We will just copy paste them there. Now I will fix there the issue because I put there dashboard pricing. It should be just pricing. And now we are ready to test the product. So I will subscribe there. It will redirect me to pricing. I will hit there subscribe. There I will fill the Stripe test data. Then I will pay it. There I'm redirected to successful payment. In our database, the subscription status is updated to active. Now there I will create a new folder in API and I will call it user. And there I will create a new file, route.ts, and I will paste there the file Boltnew provided me. I will fix the Prisma. It's located in library /db and the library for Clerk is with /server. Now for the navbar, Clerk handles checking of the signed in user on its own. So we don't need to check if user is signed in. That means we can delete this, and also we can delete this conditional rendering and put there our signed in, signed out buttons. So let's cut it from there, put it there. Now I will just format it. And if I will save it, that should fix it. So now if you'll check our page, we have the buttons there. We can go to pricing and also we can sign in. Now for the deployment. Step 1 is to get our project to Git. There are two options. First one is to publish to Git via IDE, or the second one, you can download GitHub desktop application, and there you will just drag and drop your folder, then click on add repository. You will create it like this, and now I will hit publish repository. For the name I will put there prompt manager. We can keep this code private or just make it public. I will make it public. I will click publish repository. Then it will upload my repository. Then I can do the first commit. I will do init there, commit to master. Now I can click view on GitHub and it will open the repo. You can double check there that you didn't commit your .n file and it's not there. So yeah, we have it in git ignore. This is important. Now also, if you will go back to your IDE and find there this icon that stays for source control, and you will do there any change. For example, I will do there just a period, and then I will save the file. It will be shown there. And if I want to commit it to the repository, I will click on plus. It will be under staged changes. I will do there upload just the text update. I will click on commit. I will synchronize it. And now also I can see in GitHub desktop application that this change was made. And if I will go to the repo itself, I will be able to see it there. In dashboard page, there is now the dot. Why it's important to have our project in GitHub is because we will be using Vercel to deploy it. And in Vercel, it's super easy. We will just connect the GitHub, we will click deploy, and basically it will handle everything for us. We will just need to fill the environment variables there, but I will now show you how to do it. Thereafter, you will successfully log into Vercel or sign up. You will go into overview, and there you will click on add new. There you will select project, and there I can see the prompt manager. I will click on import. I can see there, because I have it on my GitHub, that is linked with this Vercel account. For now, I don't need to set the environment variables. I can just click on deploy to fix any errors in case they will happen. Let's see. And we got some errors, but it will be easy to fix because there is everything listed and it's in quite a few components, but usually it's just something that we need to change. For example, this single quote with this sign, then that we have there importer button that is never used, and everything is pretty clear. So it's not that hard to fix. Need to input this written form. Let's go into dashboard page. We can find it there. We'll put it there like this. Then in the navbar, the button is defined but never used. That is right, as we changed it for the Clerk buttons. We don't use the regular button anymore. In case you will run into any errors, you can do npx npm check updates -u and then run npm install, and it will install the newer versions of your packages. Now you will prompt Boltnew. It's possible that you provided UI with a lot of components that are not even used in the end, and he responded, yes, these are the listed components that are needed. So we will delete our UI folder, then package log.json and node modules. And now we will run this command, npx shadcn latest at button, cart, dialog, form, and so on. Because with this, we will install it by ourselves from shadcn library. Now we also need to do npx shadcn latest at toast, because this is the last dependency that we are missing. And with this, we will install these components by ourselves, and it will work because Bolt provided us with some components that are not even used. Now we will go into source control, we will stage everything, we will input deployment fix message, for example, we will commit it, and then it will be published into our GitHub. Now if we will go into Vercel, There we can start filling the environment variables because we already fixed all the errors. So now we can fill the environment variables and that will be it. Then it will work. When you will be filling it, you need to put environment variable name to the left and to the right, the value itself. So I will now fill it. Also, there is possibility of importing the env file and it should do it for you, but I will do it manually now. And then you will just go there and hit redeploy. After you redeploy it and it's successful, you can take this domain name and we will go to our environment variables again, and there in next public URL, we will edit it and we will put there the value. Then we will go to Clerk, and there in Clerk, we will go to webhooks, and we will change the name from the ngrok provided URL to our domain that Vercel provided us. You need to leave there the /API/webhooks/clerk after the domain name, otherwise it won't work. We will now save it, and we will also check users because now we will be testing it, and in these users cannot be any user that we want to test it with. It needs to be a new user, so let's delete it from there and let's try it. Now I logged in or signed in and my account got saved into a database, so everything is working. And that will be it. If you need some help, you can ask in the comments and I will try to help you. I hope you enjoyed this one and I also hope I will see you in the next one. Cheers.